Hello and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer, the only board game review show that, spoiler alert, is going to be killed off in Season 5 of Game of Thrones. My name is Cody. Say, do you remember a kooky movie a few years ago called Shaun of the Dead, and the climactic battle scene between the zombies and the survivors in the bar? Glug glug. Well, now there is a game that essentially recreates that scenario. I am, of course, talking about Pints of Blood from Huch and Eagle-Grypon Games. In Pints of Blood, 2 to 4 players essentially take on the role of survivors who are holed up inside of a London bar, a London pub, as it were. And you have to fight off this endlessly rampaging horde of zombies. I know what you're thinking, another zombie game. Yeah, it's a zombie theme, and it has many of those same zombie tropes we've seen in a lot of zombie games, but there's some important mechanical differences. I'm going to tell you about them now. So the game begins essentially with 4 buddies sitting on the couch in a bar behind a pool board, which also acts as a card stack. You got a couple of friends outside in the phone booth. They're not doing you much help until maybe later in the game. Now what you're going to do is there are 5 tracks leading to the pub, and they've each got different colored tiles on them. Now the first thing you're going to do is you're going to assign buddies from the couch to those tracks. Essentially, they're at the windows trying to fight off the zombies there. Now, there's some danger if you take all of them or any of them because you're more exposed to danger that way, but there are greater potential rewards the more you put out there. Now, for every buddy you put toward one of the windows to fight off the zombies there, you actually get to draw some of the cards off of the pool cue. And the cards are separated into kind of 4 quarters, 4 different equal-numbered stacks there. And the goal of the game is try to get through all these stacks and get to a rescue card. So you really want to burn through the stack as quickly as you can. So you may want to put all your guys out there to get through as many cards as you can. Now these cards can be buddy cards, meaning they can be green, which means they're helpful, they're good, they're going to do things for you, help you kill zombies. Or they could be red, which means they're zombie cards, which could have some negative zombie effects in the game, and they're not so good. Now, essentially, the first thing you're going to do once you assign your buddies to a specific row is you roll a number of dice. You roll a dice with many different colors on it, and then you also roll a number of battle dice. So you roll these dice, and first of all, whatever color comes up, you're going to add a zombie token to every single row that has a buddy in front of it that is of that color. If you roll a white, then you get to choose which color you're going to add zombies to. And if you roll a black, you actually have to add a zombie to a little bus that's kind of riding around the periphery of the board. And you still have to roll again to figure out where the zombies are going to arrive on the tracks. Now, you've got the battle dice and you've got your buddy cards. And they kind of are acting like weapons. Essentially, each track is several spaces long. And different kinds of weapons, a cricket bat, darts, a bow, these things are going to let you kind of attack zombies further and further out. Cricket bats, I think in the first 1 or 2, darts 2 or 3, the bows further out. And you can essentially assign your dice to those ranges for those zombies. And you can also play buddy cards to attach them there. In addition to the kinds of weapons, you also may have double hit or single hit or double hit, which is kind of an extra hit you can assign to those specific tiles and those specific zombies you're attacking, because you don't know what the zombies are. They're face down. You flip them over, and there are different kinds of zombies. So once you have assigned all the dice and all the cards that you want to assign, you start flipping over the zombies and seeing if you take them out. Now, some of the zombies are green, which means they spawn new zombies once you destroy them. Some of them are red, which means if they get close enough to you, they're going to bite you not once but twice. More on that later. There are also your basic zombies, some of which are fast food, meaning they're just normal, they take 1 hit to kill, they're the weakest. And then there's the tougher zombies, which take 2 hits to kill. Now, after you go through and you kill all the zombies, you put all the dead zombies on the ambulance, and then the tracks start to move in. And if any zombies make it into the pub, the active player is going to take hits. You have little character boards that you rotate, and whichever number is facing you is the number of hits that you've taken, and you don't want to get down to 0. You're not eliminated from the game, but one of the buddies dies, and that gives you fewer options as the game progresses. Now, and then there is the bus phase. Essentially, the bus starts moving from one track to the other, dropping off more zombies on a new tile. So again, whenever there's zombies in the bus, it kind of expands the tiles, pushes things forward, more opportunities for zombies to get inside the pub and bite you. Finally, there's a scoring phase. Essentially, you look at how many zombies you killed on the ambulance, and then you get a number of crisp bags. In America, we call them potato chips. And these are kind of a currency in the game. You can use the crisp bags to buy cards from other players and do some other fun and interesting things as the game progresses. Every player is going through the same series of steps on their turn. It's going around and around and around. And like I say, you're trying to burn through that card deck. Now, when you hit the dividers between the quarters of cards, they give you special options. You might be able to, for instance, recruit one of the buddies from the phone booth to have more buddies to fight zombies. And there's some other fun things and interesting things you can do. There are also kind of food tokens that give your character special persistent powers through the game, and there's other fun things that can pop up as well. Now, as I say, the game ends when you reach the rescue card. Now, these rescue cards have kind of different conditions. One of the rescue cards is a bicycle. It rescues the two players with the fewest bites. There's the army, and they essentially rescue whoever has the most crisp bags. You've got the tiny car. You roll dice. Whoever can roll the best essentially gets saved. So there's different kind of victory conditions, and you can play in a mode where you just randomly select that one, or you choose which victory you're going for, so everybody kind of knows what to kind of shoot for during the course of the game. Now, if all the buddies die, then, of course, everybody loses the game. But if you can make it to that rescue card, whatever the rescue conditions are, that's who wins the game. So that is essentially the rules for Pints of Blood, this kind of kooky, weird, bizarre zombie game. There's a few other things that can pop up here and there throughout the game, but that's just the basic overview of the rules. Now, let me say, first of all, this is a beautifully produced game. The components are great. It's got that cool three-dimensional bus. That's a lot of fun. The dice are good. Generally speaking, component quality is very good in this game. That tile mechanic of sliding, it's got kind of the three-dimensional board, which I like a lot too, and you slide the tiles down like the paths, and then you put it to the back and then replace it. That's cool too, and that's a unique mechanic, and the fact that the zombies are going on the colors and you don't know what zombies they are, that's very interesting. And it's cool too, because when you roll the dice for this game, it forces you to make those tough decisions. Where are you going to assign the dice? Because you just don't know what kinds of zombies are coming for you. So there's some real, do I go for these guys that are closer to me? Do I go further away? It could be, any one of these kinds of zombies, and there's a random factor there, but you still have to really decide. You have to prioritize the threats as they come to you. That's very exciting. There's a pressure in this game that is very interesting. One of the problems with this game is that whole, if you play it with a random rescue card. That's not good, okay? First time we played it, that's when we played it. It's not good, it's not good, it's not good. Make sure, if you're playing this game, you select which victory card, which rescue you're playing for. And, I can understand this idea of you don't know how you're going to get rescued, but the reality is, if you play it randomly, you don't know how to become the architect of a strategy, because you don't know what you're playing for. Should I be going for the most crisp bags? Should I just try not to be bitten? What should I do here in order to win? You just don't know if that's a random card, and it's just kind of frustrating. But if you select it and you kind of all know what you're going for, it adds more focus to the game. Maybe not as thematic, but I think ultimately probably more fun. Now, there's another pretty big problem with Pints of Blood. And that is, it's really, frankly, it's its length. Pints of Blood has this really cool mechanic. It's got good choices. But the problem is, it's one of those games that kind of outlasts the fun it creates. And that's a little disappointing. And it feels like those last few rounds, you're just kind of going through the motions. I guess the word I would use to describe the turns of the game is samey. One of my friends remarked to me as we were playing it, it feels like we're just there's a lot of talking about other things while we're waiting for our turn, and you just kind of go through. Okay, I did my turn. Now what are we doing? And so there's kind of a disconnect there, and that was really disappointing with the game. So the game works on a lot of levels, but it just never quite packs the punch you want it to and you expect it to. Frankly, there are better zombie games out there. There are many better zombie-themed games out there. But it's this mechanic that's really, really cool. Unfortunately, it's not enough to sustain it for, plays about 45 minutes to an hour roughly. If this had been a half an hour game, I think I'd be all over this thing. But with its length, you just kind of feel, all right, let's go. Now, because of the things that this game does bring, its production, cool mechanic, some really interesting choices that you are making, I can't just disregard this. I can't say I don't recommend it, because there's a lot of good stuff here. But at the same time, I don't feel that I can really, in good faith, say, you need to go out and buy this. So I'm gonna give it an unsatisfying, try it before you buy it. I think some people will get a kick out of it, particularly people that are a little bit perhaps more patient than I, and who really just enjoy that steady stream of pressure and that, frankly, don't mind the sameness quality. So Pints of Blood, it's not a great game, but it's not a horrible game. It's just kind of right there in the middle. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And maybe one of my favorite things about Pints of Blood is that the bus doesn't say train station, it says brain station.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Dude, did you feed them gruel?
When they're very good, I do.
What do you feed them when they're not good?
Well, I give them the gruel out of the gruel bag that I eat out of. What's left of that?
So just a slightly better gruel.